Last week, I dropped this anime style explosion effect in Blender and it went viral. On Blender artists and NPR groups, over 2.5 thousand reactions, tons of comments, and endless requests for a tutorial. Even 80 level picked it up and shared it with the world. That's when I knew I had to make this tutorial for you. So today I'm showing you exactly how I created this anime game explosion effect in Blender step by step. So the basic idea is take an object, for example, a sphere, take its volume, distribute some points on that volume, and then make these points real spheres, randomize their scale, and from that we can just scale them outward and also scale them individually so they disappear or uh, just come up from nothing, and that will create that explosion effect. It's so simple, and we can replicate that for the small little particles, and we can do some other effects like the smoke and etc, some cards and things. So this is how we can create this. So I'm here in this Blender file. I have my effect right now playing, so I can see what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take a plane because I want everything to be procedural. I'm going to take a plane. First, let's take plane. Use this plane. Let's change the map cap to and change the timeline into geometry nodes. And I'm going to name it explosion. So now we are going to use a procedural object. For that, I'm going to use a UV sphere. And because this effect is fully procedural, we are not going to get the same result as the first one. And you're not going to take the same result because the spheres, the distribution of the spheres will not be the same as this because it's a procedural thing. It's randomly generated. We're going to get a decent result. We can just change the angle of the camera to get what we want. From a sphere, we're going to turn it into a volume, so mesh to volume. And in that volume, we're going to distribute points in volume. And these points will represent these spheres. So a bunch of them will represent a bunch of these spheres. And this seed will randomize their location. We're going to see that later. And turn these little points into spheres. We're going to do an instance of points. And we are going to instance an icosphere because it looks good. And give it a bunch of subdivisions like tree. And after that, we are going to do a shade smooth. So they're smooth. And we're going to randomize its scale by using a random value. And this random value also will be animated. So let's use it. So for the minimum, it's like the maximum. Yeah, something like this. Maybe a more big. Maybe that's too much like that. So we can randomize the seed so we can get position for these. Okay, so that looks good actually. So this one looks good. Now we want the scale outward and inward. We want that scaling. So I want them to scale like from the world origin outward. So they're going to go outward like this. For that, I'm going to use a set position. You can do that after or before, it doesn't matter. So you can move the actual points or you can move the actual spheres because it's the same. I'm just going to do it after. Let's change it. Okay. So I'm going to use the position node to give me that offset because this position have the data of this current position because it's at 0, 0, 0, which is at the world origin. So let's plug it right down because I want it to move in all axes. That's fine. And I'm just going to use a vector math node, sets to scale, because I want to scale this vector. Okay, that's good. And now I can just scale inward or outward. That will create that explosion effect. Okay, I'm going to leave it to later so we can animate them all together. So these are the big spheres. I'm just going to select all of them, F to give them a frame and name it big spheres. Really good. And now I want to make these small spheres or particles. They're actually the small spheres, okay? And they're randomized and they do basically the same thing. So initially, I'm just going to take the same setup, Shift D, and let's do F2 particles, and let's view that. And to make these spheres a bit small, I'm just going to do 0.02 and do for the maximum 0.03, something like that. So they're not that small, but yeah. And I'm going to change the density. I can make them a lot, something like that. You can add more of that if you want. Okay, so basically we have created these. You can see they scale inward in their world origin. So they scale with, oh, maybe just change these to 0, both of them, so you can get that scaling effect thing. Okay, so we have created these. It's pretty simple, nothing too complex. Lastly, we have 2 more things to do. We are going to create these things, these fire stuff, okay? These basically are just bunch of planes just extruded like this, because all of the magic is happening inside the shader editor. So I'm going to change, I'm going to create these like grids, or what they call them, planes, and just rotate them randomly, and they will always follow the camera. Whenever the camera is looking, they will look at the camera, so they're following the location of the camera. So we are going just to use a simple math. It's not that complex. There is better ways to do these things, but I'm teaching you what you'll need, basically. As I said in the intro, or maybe I haven't. I have a geometry node series that is running right now on Patreon. If you want to get into geometry nodes, I'm explaining geometry nodes as simple as I could, and I'm just showing you the basic stuff that you are going to use, not every node, because that will be tedious and yeah, really time consuming for something that you are not going to use at all. Some nodes you're not going to use them at all, maybe 1 or 2 times a month or a year. So yeah, anyways, let's get back to the work. So right now for these planes, I'm just going to use a grid, because in geometry nodes we don't have plane, so we have just grid. Because anyways, so this plane, we're going to do the same thing. Maybe I'm just going to rotate a little bit right now, or after. Yeah, after, because we are going to make it to face the camera. But anyways, I'm just going to use points. Okay, you can use random locations. I have used random locations, as you can see from here, so they are looking like this, so they are random a little bit. So let's try that. So let's do the same approach, which is taking, so Control C, Control V, like taking just a small density, not too much. So like taking an instance of points and instancing these. And to make them face the camera, we need a camera actually. So Shift A and add camera, Control Alt 0. So to make this camera active, add this view, and then just go to the output and change the resolution to 1080 by 1080 or more than that. But I like it to do 1080 by 1080, and later I can increase this resolution to get the max resolution in a small aspect ratio that will make it really rich and really amazing to look at a smartphone or something. Okay, something really old. I know that people have 4K monitors, 2K, something like that, but yeah, we work with what we have. That's actually a good viewpoint. Okay, let's select back our geometry node setup and make sure the viewer is active. Now I'm just going to drag my camera, drag it right here, and I'm going to subtract the position, the actual position of these planes, and I'm going to subtract them from the location. Okay, by default the node wrangler can't take the location, so I'm just going to do subtract that from that. So the thing actually doesn't matter, but anyways, I'm going to do an align rotation to vector. The old one is align Euler to vector, so this is pretty old. It said that, okay, but you can use it actually. So let's do an align Euler, align rotation to vector, and use this as a vector data, not in a rotation, because we don't have the rotation yet. I don't need it, and just plug this into the rotation. So these will follow the camera. If I move the camera, so they're always facing the camera. Sometimes you might to switch these if you have something going wrong. you can switch these so you can get maybe a better result. So always make sure to play with these. If something is not working, maybe take the relative camera location, that will be better. So yeah, just experiment with these little values. I'm just going to make it like this. It doesn't matter to me. So this is, I'm going to call it camera, follow camera. Very good. And then I'm just going to scale these planes, maybe on the x-axis, something like, make them narrow. Later on, we're going to adjust them to our needs. Okay, perfecto. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an rotation. This will give me the ability to add more rotation to the existing rotation. So I'm going to make it local, and then I'm going to add a random value node and just make a, okay, first of all, we need to make sure which axes that we need to rotate. Is it the Y? Nope. X? Nope. Z. So we need to rotate the Z. Right now, if we just animate this rotation value, it will rotate everything, and we don't want that. We want to rotate each plane individually with a random value. So that's why we are using this random value. You can feed in an ID to give it like sort of an ID for each plane. You can store that later. Maybe if you are an advanced user, I want to keep it simple. So let's use this value and do this rotation. And by the way, we need a combine XYZ to specify which axis. For me, it's the Z. Just plug it, use it right there. Control H to hide the other. Okay, so it's better to look at. And just animate, or sorry, just rotate this value so you can get random rotation. If it's too much of these planes, because we have just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 these planes, that's too much. Just change this, different result, maybe like this. Later we can just play with it, and voila. Now we want to do the same thing, which is exploding them outward or inward. So we're going to use the set position node, and we're going to use the position, and we are going to use scale, so we can scale this vector, and voila, we got the same thing. We can animate it if we want, and that's actually looking good. So I'm just going to keep it at this value. This is fine. So these are going to be the cards, so add them to their own. So cards, very good, very nice. And like actually, I haven't did all of these in the same geometry node setup. I actually did them in a separate objects, but for you guys, I'm just going to keep it simple and use the same geometry node setup to drive everything. So I'm not going back and forward between other objects. It might be confusing for you. So now what we have left is just these rings of smoke. So to create them is pretty simple. They have like a little issue, which is the UV map. We need the UV map because if you are going to export these to a game engine, I know there is some game engines that don't support nodes. Maybe all of them that don't support geometry nodes. So I have an approach to convert this geometry nodes setups to just normal keyframes, so I can export it, sorry, to any game engine. I do some heavy work on making them suitable for any game engine, and we heavily need UV maps. So spheres already have their own UV map, so it doesn't matter. I can just swap them with a real object that have a UV map. But for these procedural things, they need their own. So yeah, I'm going to work with circle curve circle. Okay, we could have just used the normal mesh circle, but yeah, curves are better. This is the curve circle. I'm just going to extrude it outward a little bit. So for that, I'm going to use mesh to curve or curve to mesh. Very good. And for the extrusion profile, I'm just going to use a curve line. Use the curve line and that's fine. I'm going to change the end from the Z to maybe the Y. Maybe negative Y. Maybe do the start. They're both going to the negative. I don't know why. I don't know. Flip faces now doesn't work because we don't have. We gotta work with what we have. So let's do an end, something like that. Not very thin, not very thick. So something like this. And right now they don't have their own UV map. So for that, I'm just going to do a store named attribute, so we can store the UV map and change it from flow to vector, and from the domain of points to the face corners, because UV maps are stored at the face corners. So let's add UV. Okay, I like to name it like this. And for the value, I need a capture attribute. Leave it at the point domain because we only have points and currently a spline, but just points domain is gonna work. And let's do an index and store this index at, and let's use UV unwrap. Okay, make sure it's angle based. Maybe conformal, it's gonna work, but angle based is pretty good. The margin is the margin of the UV. You can change it later, but keep it as is. And for the seam, we need to specify seams so we can create the UV map. It will create a seam, an obvious seam, but yeah, that's all what we can do. But anyways, so let's do a compare node. This is a compare node, and just use this because this is a float value. It's a field by float, but anyways, let's use this, and it's going to be an equal to 0 with an epsilon 0.0, and just use this as a UV for the UV map. And right now we have UV map. To make sure this UV map is working, I'm just going to specify set material node and use a temporarily material to view this. And we need the group output and use output. Okay, so we have a group output right now. We don't want to use it. So yeah, we already have one. So for this, I need just to go to the shader editor, use the same material, and just change to the material preview. And to view the UV map, I'm just going to use an image texture and generate a UV grid. And let's use the UV map. So UV map, or actually it's an attribute, not UV map, and just UV map, maybe 3 P's. I don't know, I forgot. Let's use the vector into the vector and let's view. Yeah, it's working. Now, if we go back to the geometry node setup, we can change this to be go outward. There is a seam, but I can't notice where is that seam. But it's working. It's working fine. So this is how we can generate this UV map for this. So we can just slap in procedural texture, and afterward we can just bake it, and it's gonna work perfectly. Let's make sure that we have back our explosion effect so you can see our reference. Now we have the smoke. We just leave the set material node because we are going to use it later. So this is going to be rings. Okay, perfect. And just align them. Afterward, we are going to use join geometry and set material. Put this right there. Shift D, Shift D, and we already have that. Join this with this, and join this with this, join this. And after all of these, we're going to put it into the group output. So we have all of these together, and voila. Some of them are big, some of them are small because we need to adjust these values. So let's go back to our camera view. We need to make the rings obviously bigger. And where is their own radius? They have their own radius, but we need somewhat set position node. So let's do a set position. We need the same setup actually, which is the position, and just scaling it. Maybe it's a bit thick, less thicker. And actually right here, there is 2 rings instead of 1. Okay, I forgot about that. So let's go back to this. We're going to duplicate this ring, but let's do transform geometry. So by using this transform geometry, you can just join them together. Oh, the join is up there. So they're joined, but they are in the same place. I'm just going to rotate this the same. Okay. So yeah, perfect. And I can just shift D this transform, click backspace to reset this transform, and just plug it right there so we can also control the rotation, the other one. Okay, let's go back to see how this is looking. Okay, perfect. Maybe the cards is a bit thick. Something like this is looking good. Yeah, just make them as tall as they can, because later when the texture will be applied, you'll never notice this. Now, we need to go back and finalize or get the shape right of these spheres. If they can go bigger, it's better. Okay, something like that. Maybe that's too big. Yep, yeah, so something like that. I'm going to use my timeline so I can animate. I need first to define how many FPS that this animation is working. So it's at 24 FPS. I like 24 FPS. It gives a cool look to it. And it's not that heavy if you put it into a game or something like that. So it's gonna play back really quick. I'm going to end this animation at 30 frame for now. I don't need that much because as you can see, it just 30 frames for this animation. It's playing at 30 frames. So we're going to do the same. It start like this and then let's do the same. So actually it start at nothing. Frame 1. We can use frame 0, but I like, yeah, frame 1. Let's do frame 1. 0. 0 of the scale. Maybe actually lower than 0, because 0 just still gives. So let's go to something negative and press I. And if you just click on the node, you can view first, click on the plane and then click on the node. So you can view the keyframes that you have set. Okay. And we need to scale them individually. So I'm just going to just put a keyframe for these because I don't want to, and just go back to the frame 1 and do 0 for both of the min and the max. So do I, and if you play, they should be increasing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're increasing. Okay, so good. So I have at frame 0 at this scale, and at frame, let's do something like 12. Just explode them at this point, and let's put these keyframes back. Oh my days, it's a bit laggy. Put these keyframes, select the scale again, like that. Put an eye in that, and afterward we're going to do a subtle scale. So there go. Maybe this scale is not that, so do an eye. Oh, nice. It's a bit laggy on my PC, but that's good. Later we can finalize it in the that's looking good. Maybe if I just view each object, it will be better, because so let's do the same thing. I want this to be like that, an eye in the frame 12. Let's go back to frame 0, as small as we at -1. Let's do an eye, and also go back to the frame 12 and do eye for the min, for the max, and go back to frame 1, do 0 for the min, both eye, and also go forward a little. Okay, because we are not running at real time, like it's a bit janky. Let's go back to this frame, maybe back into this frame, go I, do 0, not in here, maybe at frame 29, let's do 0, 0, and let's take a look at that. Pretty good, pretty good. They disappearing, pretty good, pretty nice. Let's go back to this. So let's see, like all of them all together, that seems to be a pretty nice scale. So let's go back to this, maybe 15, and do a bit of scaling. Select that, go back to frame 0, not frame 1, but frame 0, and let's do like that. It's going to work. We have actually this scale. Let's do an eye on that scale. Go back right now. That's how I did it. So they're doing like that, and they have a subtle rotation. So let's do. They have like actually just go afterward a little, something like this. It's not the same, but it's gonna work. What we are doing. Lastly, we have these rings. So at this frame, maybe 12. So 12, do an eye, go back all the way to like -1 and do eye, and it's gonna work because of the impact and how fast it is. No one will notice the scaling. We need just to play with the graph editor. So back to frame 12, go back to the rotation, apply a keyframe, apply another keyframe, go back to here, apply keyframe, apply keyframe. So back at frame 12, we're going to do maybe which way to rotate. Oh yeah, let's do negative. Okay, positive and negative. Okay, so let's go frame 0. So this is going to be a positive value. So positive maybe. Let's do an eye. And this is going to be a negative 80 or something. Let's go something like this. Put an eye. Make sure that you have an eye. Okay, so that's perfect. And just go a little bit further. Do a subtle movement. Do something like that. And here also do an eye. So let's see. Okay, something like that. That looks good. With all the animation together, we need to add some modifications because yeah, we just played with them individually. So we need to play with them all together so we can see how that's gonna work. Let's play back the animation. Looking good. We need that impact, but I don't have real-time FPS. That's what worries me a lot. I'm worried about the animation because I can't view it at the current FPS that I'm sitting at 24 and I'm viewing at 10 FPS. That's crazy. I need a better upgrade. Anyways, so let's go to the graph editor. Maybe I'm just going to keep that open because I need the geometry now set up, and I'm just going to switch this to the graph editor. I know that there is better setups at doing this, but yeah, we need first to select this scale and check this normalize so we can see better what we're doing. So this needs to be a heck of a lot faster because it's an explosion. It's not what we're doing. So we need to drag this. And afterward, it doesn't matter if it's small, fast or it's slow, it doesn't matter. So that's perfect. Now we're talking. Yep. Let's do a bake node. So, but if we bake, we can't play with the animation. But let's do a bake and let's try. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. If it's not, it's not. We have baked 30 frames, as you can see. It's going to play a bit better. We gain 2 frames, 3 maybe. Let's go back and see if that will change something or not. If we just pull this and make it like, oh, that's fine. Let's go like that. That doesn't change because we have baked. Oh yes, just get rid of this bake. We don't need it. Just 2 FPS, doesn't matter. Maybe, oh, we lost some FPS. Let's play all the way. Do that again. Is that going to go a bit better? Let's see how much time it's taking. 89 milliseconds of calculations. That's a lot. Is there any preferences for performance? Compositor? Yeah, GPU compositor. We don't have any. A bit faster. It's not gonna work. But anyways, we gotta do this. So as fast as we could. Maybe. Yep. Yeah, that looks good. I don't know. We need to export this and see how the animation will look like. But for these, we need to do the same kind of trick. We need just to make this curve align it to the x-axis. I forgot that we can do that. So that's perfect. Let's go back. We forgot. Okay, so let's raise this. Align this a bit. And let's see now if it's going to change anything. Make it. That's not that fast. So let's change it a bit more fast. Or maybe because of the FPS that we currently playing at, be laid down. Okay, perfect. That seems to be nice. Maybe the cards needs the same treatment. They need to be heck of a lot faster. That's slow. That's super slow. That's super slow. Let's fix this. These are the cards. Maybe their scale is the issue. Could be. So let's do. Maybe this is not a good point. Let's check like that so it's a bit faster. Okay, that did some improvements. For the small particles. For the small particles, they are a bit late. They're a bit late. So let's go to the small particles. Select them. They're a bit late, so let's make them a bit faster and a bit. Yep, that looks good. The small particles did a great job. Great job. Okay. So we already at a good point. We can make it better later. And let's see the same timing. 91. Oh my days, it's taking more. So it's a good point to save the project file. So let's save the project file. Name it tutorial version because I already did. Let's see. It's looking good. Now we need to assign materials. Let's go back to the material. Delete this. We don't need it. We need big spheres. So let's new big spheres. We need small particles, and we need cards. Finally, smoke rings. And let's just add them. Cards, small particles, finally, big spheres. Looking good. Now we can just view the materials and let's have back our reference image. And let's switch this to shader editor. And from now, we can just using an emission and the transparent PSCF. Make sure the material for the I want to work with big spheres. Let's go back. Go to the big spheres. Make sure the settings are set to off a blend or blended. Remove this. We need emission, transparent. Mix them together. Use that. As you can see, they have an emission for them, so they're exploding and afterward they just go away. So there is three main textures. This orange, yellow, something, red thing, okay? Afterward, it just something, okay, you can see that there is like a vignette or, you know, like what they call it anyways, something, and afterward it just something, and they disappear with the same texture. Okay, it's pretty simple, but yeah, a bit complicated. There is two options, Voronoi or using the noise. So I'm going to use the old noise and just view it and Control T, and let's use the object coordinate. So we have the object coordinates and then scale it and then add a color ramp so we can dial it in and also we can color it. Do something like this. And at this point, we need less details. We want it to look something like that. Or some, they look the same. So we need to make them random. How to do that? So let's select back that and go to the geometry nodes workspace. And I'm just going to realize the instances. And that will make it a bit slower. But yeah, we gotta do that. That will gives us the ability to make these a bit random. It's a bit random. We need to scale them up like this. So that's a good point. That's a good scaling. I need the same settings, so I'm just going to Shift D this, and I'm going to make this heck of a lot like that, and a bit detailed, like a little bit. And then I can choose these colors. We need the brighter part to be this color, and there is the other part to be red color, and there is in betweens. So this is in between, so this is like this color, so it's not that different, but yeah. And something that we need to change is the color management, because right now it is set to AGX and it's somewhat realistic, and we need something cartoonish and it will reserve the same colors. This is standard for MPR, and we can change this actually to constant if we want this to look something like that, but I like it to be linear ones. There is some saddle. It's something like that. After that, we're going to add a Fresnel, and this Fresnel will be this color, the same as this color, and it's going to be going toward that. Okay, so that's fine. We can just make it something. Okay, so we need to do the same thing, but for the other color, which is this one. So plug the factor, Control T. We need the object coordinates, and we are going to change these to B. So this is going to be this color, the other one going to be this color, and just voila. Sorry, oh my days, I removed the thing. So remove these, and let's view that. Currently it's looking like that. So just bring them in a little bit, maybe just flip them, would be better. So something like that, and you can just make it a bit detailed or whatever. I like it to be like that. In here, first of all, what we need, so this is going to be the last thing. So this is going to be the last layer. This is the first layer, this is the second layer, and this is the third layer. So like we're working on in Photoshop, but sometimes it doesn't work like what you have planned for it. So let's see if we use this as a mask, this view, what we have. So this is going to give us like that. So this is actually going to affect the transparency of all of our things. So first of all, let's do the base. So this is going to be the base for our things, and it's going to be like that. Afterward, there is this, and Shift D that. We can just animate these, so it's going to change between that and that really quick, something like that. And all of these will be animated within like a 4D texture, so it's going to be really animated and no one will notice. And last but not least, but change this to be that, and just give it like this, and let's see, it's going to be something like so. That's perfect. So we can just animate it however we want. So this is one of the possible ways to do this kind of effect. Or the way that I like to do it is to not just use all of these, but if you're a beginner, you can just animate these and you're good to go. But I'm just going to use the same over here. Do that. And I'm going to use this. Okay, we're going to use the same things, but just in another order. So maybe just remove them. And actually, there is kind of an outline, and I want to add the outline. So yeah, there is some context in it. For the outline, I'm just going to use Fresnel to give me the outline. Just a color ramp. Make it a constant so you get better result. And for that, we want the darker value to be not black, dark brown, really, really dark. No one will notice that, but yeah, anyways. And I want to multiply this over that, so you get just the darkest. So that's perfect. And I want to use the same Fresnel node, a small noise, just to get some variation. Let's do that, and just mix these together. Actually, for the colors, I'm just going to move them afterwards so I can color both of them at the same time. And I want a small scale for the noise. Or actually, you can just randomize this and do Voronoi instead of doing all of them to be the same noise. So I'm just going to change the noise to be a Voronoi texture, just for sake of randomness. And I'm just going to use value, like something really small. And I'm just going to use a smooth F1. And for the value, some value that will add, like you can see that randomness for the glow. It will look good. Trust me. Something like, yeah, something like this. And zero detail. Yes, roughness is the same. Pretty good. And for that, we're just going to animate this. I'm going to mix between them. So you have everything is that and less of that. Okay, perfect. And we're going to convert this into an emission data. And afterward, we're going to make shader to RGB so we can control the emission. We can control the value, but it is the same. So what I meant with controlling the value, so I can just increase this more than once. So I can do like 5 and it will be the same as doing an emission. But I like to do it back so I can have a slide rather than just going. And afterward, I can just mix between these. Okay, let's add a mix color. Set it to color. I want to mix between, and I can just animate. Yeah, so I can just animate this. So it's going to, oh, sorry. I can animate just this. So it's going to show me these or that. The outline is a bit too much. 0.5 is actually good. Okay, so save it as 0.5. And last but not least, to animate that, to animate that disappearing effect, we're going to use Voronoi. You can use noise texture, but Voronoi seems to be good. And I'm going to use the distance. It looks good to me. So we can just control the disappearing effect and just use this to be. And let's use smooth F1. Really good. So you can see what it's doing. You can see it's doing something. By just animating actually, like the color. If you animate just the color, it will look good. Maybe blended is causing an issue for now. So let's just dittered, but I don't like this dittered that much. But yeah. So yeah, we can animate both of these actually. Both of these colors so we can get different results. And dittered is a bit slower to calculate. Perfect. So we can animate both of the colors and the sliders. Oh my. Let's make the sliders a bit, oh, that's too much. Okay, so slider is going to be like that. And we can animate the scale so we can make the scale bigger or smaller. But for now, I'm just going to keep it at 0. And later we're going to change it to any value. So good. Looking good. So that's our main. For the small particles, I'm just going to switch to small particles. So they're just an emissive. They're yet to be orange or yellow. So you can choose whatever value. And later we can just add in just a glare node. So insert that. Bloom for glow. And the threshold like that. So yeah, just like this, it looks good. For these planes or cards, I call them cards, we're going to use the same trick. Transparent and an emission. Mix them together. And let's see. So they're pretty simple, as I'm just using a noise texture. Control T, use their object coordinate, and afterward, I'm just going to use the color ramp so I can make it. And we are just scaling them down and then stretching them. Maybe not really that. And just stretching them in an axis. Oh, maybe because I have, oh yeah, I have messed up something. I need to realize only these, not everything, because if I realize everything, there is an issue. I want these cards to be the same as original. So let's see now if it's gonna work, or do I need to do work. So realize only the big spheres because they're only the thing that the others have their own. And you can just stretch it until you find a good balance for you and pick whatever scale. Maybe stretch them more so they are more stretched, something like this, and play with the scale until you find a good scaling. And also you can move them. So, and we can add scaling. No one will notice that, some of the details. No one will notice that, but we're just adding that for fun. So let's do a texture coordinate. Texture coordinate. Pick its object and take the length of that thing, so we can create a circle. And let's add a color ramp. Switch the color ramp because everything in white will be shown and everything in black will not. And we can add a matte node, sets to add, so we can scale this up or down or whatever. And instead of linear, I can take an ease, so it's a bit eased in. So the fall off of this gradient will be better. I know when exporting this will have some artifacts, so make sure to export at 32 bits, so it's better. And just use this for that, and make sure to multiply these together. So you have multiplication, multiply, and there is no worries when I'm going to use blended. So let's use blended. So yeah, that's better. So let's factor all the way up. And later we can animate only the scale and the other, not the scale, or I can change this actually from 3D to 4D. Let's go back to the camera view. My PC getting a lot slower, a lot. Or not at the end, and it's a lot slower. So you can see I'm going just to animate this 4D and it will give me random stuff for these cards. And now for the interesting thing, which is the other things, which is the smoke. Actually, it's the same as the cards. I'm just going to take noise texture and let's see how it's gonna work. Take a color ramp so we can just slide in, do the same trick, do that, like that, and just stretch it along the z-axis. So it's stretch a little bit, and just stretch it along another axis, maybe y, and you can change its location. And it's going to be something like, maybe the other one is, oh, maybe we need to realize their instances. I'm just using the generated one. Okay, so let's use this and let's see what's wrong. I am doing something. I don't know what. Okay, so scale it up. So it's scaled up. So we need to realize their instances. I did that in a separate object. It's actually when the original thing I did within a real geometry instead of doing it real, or sorry, with a procedural geometry. In here, I'm just going to do a realize instance. Are these the smoke rings? Yeah, they are. Did something. Let's see about the animation. Yeah, there is an issue with that. Even though I haven't with or without, so that will leave me with just doing that with the actual UV map. So let's use the UV map. Instead of that, do an attribute. We already have the UV map. UV map. 3 of these. I forgot, but let's do 3. And let's use instancer maybe. Let's make sure with what is the issue? Oh yeah, it's the UV map. There is something going on right here. I don't know what is it. Oh yeah, it's working. So fine, it worked. There is an obvious seam, but no one will notice him. So just leave it in. That is pretty simple, as just using an emission, using transparent, and mix them together, and just use this as a factor, connect it to this. Okay, fine, and that seems to be fine. For the color, doesn't matter, whatever color that you want. Let's use this. For the seam, I don't know how to fix that. Maybe if I just change this for D, it might give me ability to change the seed a little bit to something, not really, something like that. That would be perfect. So leave that at the best point, like at the frame 12, and just hit an eye on that and also on the scale, and go back in here and do like 0.2 and do an eye, scale like 30, do an eye, and voila. So with the impact of this, it will be fine. So we already getting that thing. Maybe the cars needs their own color. So cars, make sure the cars are their own yellow color. Okay, so a bit like that. So perfecto. Let's go back to the camera view, and I need to get the same environment as we have right now. That will make sense. Okay, select all of these, move them up. Let's extrude this up, and we're going to generate this And we're back. I just did a little setup, did the background and one light, which is an area light. And look at that, it made a huge difference. And going back and forward between animating everything, so it does look good. I want just to make the cards also fade away with time. So for the cards, I'm just going to pick a frame, like I'm just going to do eye here, an eye for the scale. And sorry if you hear any noises, I can do nothing about that. And let's go back to frame 0. And we're just going to play with this random stuff and add a keyframe. By the way, you can select that so you can see how things are doing. Ooh, my days, it looks good. And just go further and just change this so it take a random scale, another value. Maybe scale it down instead of scaling it up. Yeah, maybe something like that. That will be good. Okay, let's see how it's going to be. Nice. Maybe these spheres should be a bit bigger because right now they're not that big. So let's go back to geometry node. Since we're here, we can just do whatever we want, you know, like we can dial it in, make it looks better, you know, like go back to this frame, the active frame, which is this one, big. You can add more of them actually. You want go up with this number, with this amount. Yeah, it looks good. So let's see this playback because we're not running at full 24 fps. We have like a delay and it's not running faster. It should be faster, but right now it's running slower. Okay, that's why we're not seeing the actual thing. It does look good, and these should fade away with time. But right now let's go back to spheres because this is our main subject. So let's select that, and now it's time to animate their stuff, their materials. So first of all, let's go back to frame 12, add a keyframe right here at this. So hold I, or just click I, because this is what's going to control the Fresnel light, and also animate it right here because we want to do that. So let's go back and we're going to animate this to be like this, that, so like so. Maybe you forgot about something. Oh my, I forgot about these. Yeah, okay, so I forgot about animating, and I want to take this color values because this is what I want. So let's plug them right there. Also, if I could add like can I flip these? Let's flip them, and let's add another stop that is going to be black. So that's looking good, because if I just go back right here, maybe frame, let's try at this frame. Let's do like that, do it like this, because I want to see more scale. Can we do like, let's do a constant, maybe constant, not, it's not. I just flip these. It's making me mad a little bit because it's a bit slow and I can't move freely. And let's make these closer to each other's. Okay, so that's perfect. Make these closer to the black. Just a matter of playing with these. So you can bring up a little bit of, so you can do something like this. So it's a bit slow, but do nothing about it. Let's make this closer together. Okay, so it's something like that. The scale should be a bit more, something like this. So let's go back to this frame, hit an eye on that, and also that's perfect. Maybe that's too soon for it. Let's select this, select that. I want to see the big spheres. Let's select this factor. Why I can see the factor? Maybe in the timeline. Yeah, I can see in the time. So I want this factor only. I don't want to see the other ones. So we only see these. If I move them a bit forward, okay, yeah, it's something like that. Something like that. That's looking good. We can see that's looking good. Okay, I want it in that frame. What is the active frame? This is the active frame. I want it to be fully 1, and that's looking good. What is that? Okay, that is that. So let's just bring these. Okay, yeah, that looks good. So just bring them forward a little bit. That will create that effect. And just when things will just go away, like in this frame, I can just go to this position, hit an eye on it, hit an eye on the scale, and right now it's pretty much about to just go away. Maybe it's scale issues. Maybe bring it like this. Okay, so we're going to animate this slider and also this slider, so we can slide them together. And in this frame, let's go back to this frame. Also add a keyframe right here. Also a keyframe on the scale. And go back to the active frame, which is in this frame. So always make sure what is the current active frame. As you can see, it's a bit hard when you have everything together in the same object. That's a big issue. No, scale is going to be something like that. Let's try that, and let's. So it's going to be fading away. So let's see. Oh my, maybe it's a bit. Let's make it up to 30. This is a bit slow. I don't want it to be like that. It's a bit slow. So select this. I need to go back into geometry nodes. I need to do some modifications for the scale. I don't want to see these. I don't uncheck them. Okay, so this is the scale. Let's do it before. Okay, something like this. Or maybe, yeah, it's at frame 12. It's looking good. Maybe before. And in here, maybe this one. You need to do, yep, maybe a frame. So let's select that. So let's select these. And let's go to the graph editor. Normalize. Select, oh, sorry, select that. GX. Okay, that looks good. Looks fine to me. Fine. Maybe a bit for these. That's why I said it's a bit hard. Let's make it quick. You can actually select these, select that, do T, and you can do like back, something like this. It will add like a small bouncy thing. Okay, so you can mess up with these keyframes, and you need just to modify it. Okay, I had a bunch of time to do that, so took all the time for it. So yeah, and you need to do a bunch of renders to see how the animation is looking like. If it's too fast, you need to dial it in, because right now we are not seeing the current real-time thing, the real-time animation. We're not seeing that. It's a bit slow. It's 10 times slower. So also you can play with the animation. Maybe the scaling right here should be up a little bit, so it's maybe that back is not good. Let's do T, bounce. Oh, bounce also will looks good. And finally, the final one could be linear. You can do like linear at the end. You can do also this. Oh, yeah, just experiment with all of these interpolations. X something that looks good. Ooh, that looks amazing. This one looks cool. Yeah, that looks fine. I like it. I like it. You can experiment with all of these. Yeah, fine. That looks good to me. And one thing that we want to do is the cars is not doing anything at all. So I'm just a subtle thing for those two cards. I'm just going to animate their white value to be, or this value, or let's animate, oh, let's animate the ad. So the ad could be right now at this value, like this value. So let's see now. Yeah, that looks fine. And for the smoky rings, we can do the same thing. I can just animate this to be also black. I can just animate this to be here. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's go back here. Animate also this. Oh, fine. Okay, that's good. For the camera, I'm going to select the camera, I to add a keyframe, or let's do K, only location keyframe. Put it wherever you want. Let's put it at frame 0. And then if we go to the graph editor, I believe we have modifiers. Let's add noisy modifier. You can add, okay, you need to add it to all the channels. So let's do Z, and I'm going to delete everything from the X and the Y because we want something. Okay, let's try and see. That's too much. So let's scale it up. Okay, scale it up again. Make it not that strong, and just copy it, paste it to all the channels. The offset needs to be the same, so it's moving like so. You can select all the channels, hold Alt, so you can do the scale on all of the channels. So it's going to be the same, maybe less stronger. So it can be something like this. Oh yes, you can just increase the Y scale a little bit. You get something like that. Okay, so that's fine to me. So you can see this is how I made this animation. I know it takes a bit of time and a bit of playing with the materials, the keyframes. I know if I had more time, I want this tutorial to be as fast as possible, so that's why I kept it really simple. And yeah, I tried hard to make it really simple. And afterward, you can just add your own artistic choices like compositor. So you can do a bunch of these. So let's do a Kuwahara node. Let's do Kuwahara. Okay, like that. Make these all the way up, and size of one should be enough for you. Do a lens distortion node. Increase the dispersion. I like the dispersion a lot. And do a fit, and just increase the distortion a little bit. And it looks absolutely amazing. Maybe animate the other noise texture to add more variation. Like, let me show you really quick before we end this video. If we just go to the big spheres and just animate this 4D and just animate the W, it should be really easy for you guys. So just add the keyframe right here, subtle, something like that, and just play back the animation. I know it's really hard on my computer. It does feel a bit better, and you can just style this in to look different. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, that looks fine to me. So that's how we made this animation. I hope you guys like this video. I will leave down below all the project files for these effects, the original project files, so you can whip them up. And also I'm going to leave this version also, so if you want to see some nodes, some tricks. I haven't did a duplicate of the original. I just made an entire new explosion effect actually, because if I had to just try replicate the other one with the same node, the same setup, the same everything, it will be just a copy. I thought why not to do a full tutorial without seeing the actual original file just from my memory and doing it like that. We actually had the reference image, but we haven't used it a lot. I don't know, I lost the reference image. I lost the reference. And thank you guys for 9,000 subscribers. Yeah, we are super close to 10,000 subscribers. It's not subscribers, but members of my family. Thank you so much. Thank you support. If you can support me more on Patreon or Gumroad Superhive, that would be amazing. And if there any other work, freelance work, we can do that, so just contact us on the email down below. So thank you so much and happy blending.